You didn't forget about me already, did you, Tariq?
Professor Milgram, they said your death was a suicide.
And why's that, Tariq? Could it be because you made me get on the stand? Oh, it's for you.
Are you ready? I don't know what to do. I don't know who I can trust.
Season 3 returns with new twists and turns, as Tariq, Brayden, Monet, and the Tejadas have to level up or get taken down. Fresh off the murder of Zeke, no one will have too much time to grieve since a new set of problems arise. And we all know in the world of power, once you get rid of one problem, another one arises, especially in this game, where we rarely see ideal moves because the player will always face a series of difficult consequences whichever move he or she makes. This also goes for Monet Tejada and the consequences of Zeke, Diana blowing up the family secrets, Drew failing to kill Ev, and many more. So in this video, I'm going to run through some more teaser clues in regards to who could be in this casket, the case for Zeke, and the case for Lorenzo. We're also going to dissect some new characters and who Diana seems to be sleeping with, and how he could end up being Tariq's rival, as well as this war and who this mystery connect is, and finally, a different perspective to Tariq's bloody knife. And as always, I'm going to finish on some questions heading into the new season, along with some thoughts and theories throughout the video for Power Book 2 Ghost Season 3.
I think we just started a fucking war.
Now at first glance, I did raise the question about Lorenzo's whereabouts during this scene, because he is nowhere to be found, and a host of comments may have just given us a further clue as to whose funeral this could actually be. The case for Lorenzo is reaffirmed with the fact Kane is actually wearing the chain he gifted to Lorenzo when he was released from prison. And just as a reminder for those who may have forgotten, let's just rewind it back to Season 2.
Shit. Welcome home, Poppy.
So coming back to the scene in the teaser, it's obvious the same chain seems to be around the neck of Kane, with no sight of Lorenzo. So is it beyond reasonable doubt to think this funeral very well may be Lorenzo's and not Zeke's? Because after all, we know how Power love to throw curveballs in their teasers and trailers. So let's also not forget who pulled the trigger on Zeke.
Businessman was found shot dead at his penthouse earlier this evening. The NY.
And before we dive deeper into the teaser, I do think it's worth mentioning Evelyn, who's a character who's supposed to be appearing in 5 episodes in Season 3. Again, Evelyn is the wife of Uncle Frank, who was killed by Kane for being a snitch, and I wouldn't be surprised if she was involved in the downfall of Lorenzo, because not only did she warn Monet that he needs to watch his back, but also the fact she'd hate for her kids to be in the same position as she is. So Evelyn is a character we may need to keep our eyes on, but let's not forget, Monet is going to stop at nothing to find the man responsible for killing her firstborn, and I do fully expect the truth to be revealed at some stage, and the one who I think is going to be responsible for revealing the truth is probably Diana.
Half the shit that happens in this family is because you can't keep your mouth shut and you are always in everybody's business.
Wow. Okay, that ain't fair.
Last night ain't fair.
So I tell the truth and everybody hates me?
Yeah.
Half the shit that happens in this family is because Diana can't keep her mouth shut, and she's always in everybody's business. We've seen it before, and I wouldn't be surprised if Diana's involved if Lorenzo is indeed the man in this casket. I described Diana as Little Miss Troublemaker in my teaser breakdown, and that's because she's always trying to find a way to move, which only benefits herself, but also ends in consequences for others. And another could very well be the man she's sleeping with, who very well may be Obi. Obi is a young man who knows his way around a gun, but is equally comfortable in a boardroom, and he sounds like a man who could very well be a rival for Tariq when he enters Wall Street, also when it comes to Diana. But coming back around to the funeral, the case for Zeke is simple. We all know he was killed at the end of Season 2, which is why we could see a funeral for Zeke and potentially more family for Monet. For example, Lena, who is actually the one who raised Zeke. But let me know your thoughts. Have Power thrown us a curveball? Is it Zeke's funeral, or based on Kane wearing Lorenzo's chain? Is it Lorenzo in the casket? Now, when it comes to Tariq St. Patrick, blood was on his hands way before we saw the bloody knife in the teaser for Season 3. He's responsible for multiple deaths across Power and Ghost, and it looks like he could be behind another. But if we've learned one thing about Tariq, he only kills when he has to, or if he's backed into a corner, being in a situation where he can only get out by killing the other, because that's how the game works. If you hesitate in this game, it could be lights out, and sometimes you have to take someone else's life before they take yours, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is what kickstarts the new war. But who's the enemy?
There's a man named Mahoney trying to move into my territory. I want him gone, but more than that, I want his fucking money. All of it.
Power have a history of name-dropping characters who appear in later seasons, and something else which is a common theme in the street is retaliation. Kane and Braden hit one of Mahoney's stash houses on the orders of Mecca, but we're yet to see revenge. But I wouldn't be surprised if Mahoney was a character who came back for what was his, and the man behind Braden and Tariq being held at gunpoint. But it really is a guessing game at this moment in time, which is what makes Season 3 even more exciting. The unpredictability, the unknowns, and all the questions surrounding who is this new mystery connect. I also think it's worth mentioning another new character, Noma, who's described as a worldly, a powerful woman who's built her wealth with an illicit global empire and is not afraid to protect it by any means necessary. Now, we don't know if she is the connect, but she's supposed to be powerful, someone who's been in the game, having already built an empire, so she's going to be well connected with resources. But another we may need to look out for is Merkovich, and it was mentioned in Force. He has business in New York. It's also another way which they could connect Ghost to Force, as well as Tariq and Tommy. So there are a few theories behind who the new dangerous connect is. Mahoney, Noma, or maybe the Serbs. But coming back to the bloody knife, I'm sure the question all of us have is, who is on the other end of the bloody knife that's in Tariq's hands? And again, it's a guessing game at this moment. Could it be Trace, because he knows way too much? Could it be Obi, potentially his new rival? Who knows? But the other perspective that was raised in the comment section, it could even be a hallucination. Throughout Ghost, we've seen Tariq have a series of nightmares and hallucinations as he battles with the remorse of killing his father, the death of his professors, and others who have ended up dead based on his actions, which is also something similar to what Ghost suffered in Power. He had a series of hallucinations of Roller and Angela, so I wouldn't be surprised if this was actually another nightmare or a hallucination. So with that being said, another question that I have is, could we see Kanan or Ghost in Tariq's hallucinations? Now, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Kanan, but it would be a bit too soon for Ghost in my opinion, although I do expect him to have a nightmare or a hallucination of Ghost at some point, especially as he enters Wall Street and starts to learn how he built a life which is legit, away from the game. So maybe naturally taking Tariq away from the advice needed from Kanan, and later on in the series, moving over to Ghost. Because it is only now where he started to realize the consequences of the game and mistakes. Every move you make not only has to be thought through, but you have to be 3 moves ahead. For example, Tasha told Tariq he needs to keep Effie close, and he needs to get her to trust him, which is what might be the idea of him telling her to move to Stansfield. One of those keep your friends close, but enemies closer, because I highly doubt Tariq is stupid enough to be burned twice, but if he does, fool him. So Effie and the whole Lauren situation is also one to keep an eye on, as well as the moves Effie makes behind Tariq's back, because she did say him and Tariq trust a little different, so the interaction we saw between Effie and Kane may be something we see again. But that's a deeper breakdown and some analysis of some clues, as well as some thoughts and theories behind the man in the casket, as well as who could be involved in the downfall of Lorenzo. So drop all your thoughts down below on the funeral, Diana's role, Tariq's bloody hands, as well as who you think has Tariq and Braden at gunpoint. And of course, if you are new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 2 Ghost and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.